All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. My goodness, straight from North Carolina this morning, more than 10 hours ago. Literally sat down and here we are. Took a few minutes to get things up and running, but we are here. Let me know where you are in the world. I just came from North Carolina. I was down in Florida at a seminar studying the mind, the brain, and how the physical body responds. And I invite everyone here. I'm going to put it right in the chat right away here. Mindbody.com. Check out what's going on in that world right now. It's getting research out in the psychology and the neurophysiology and neuroimmuno endocrinology, all the I basically how the mind and the body are integrated and what happens when we find these stuck areas and how we unlock them holistically, naturally, without the use of outside substances. All the power from within. It's fantastic. And the functional MRI studies are there. I invite everyone to go check that out. Not right now. Wait a minute. Whoa, how's everybody doing today? It's quite a Monday. It's a day of action, I want to say. So hopefully you'll be taking action in your life for your dreams, your goals, your desires. And well, actually, I have a surprise guest here. I'm not going to bring him in just yet, but we've been doing weekly webinars about this exact topic, which is winning. We call it winning in every situation. And it's based about the laws of success. And that is founded, and this is where it gets really interesting because it's based on the laws of nature. It's based on the natural cycles of life, but it's imprinted it's translated for how does one navigate in the business and commercial world, which is where we are as entrepreneurs. And so whether you're an employee working for someone 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are, I mean, some people have third shift, some people have first shift, but you have an idea, you have a vision, you have a dream. And the nature is how do you put that into play for your greatest good, for your family's greatest good? I mean, really, it's your heart's desire in many cases. So, like, let's live that dream. You've heard that story where create a life where you don't go to work, but you show up at a job. What's that statement? How's that go? How's that go? It's like you want to create a life where your work is like you show up because you love doing it and not because it's a job, right? You create your life as the work that you do is such enjoyable, and it's not as easy as making a decision and flipping the switch. I thought that was, and I tried to do that a couple times. It backfired. So let me bring you into the conversation today. What we talk about is transformations. All right. So it starts with this here. This is the most important part. Is this idea of right here and concepts? It starts with the idea of concepts itself. Concepts formulate everything you see. So you can see the arrow how it goes down to beliefs and perceptions and all these other words, expectations, preferences, and consequences. I didn't read them all there, but you can read for yourself. The point being, how we look at life and how we grew up, our nature and our nurture filters our whole entire experience. And if we've never been told that something exists, well, then we can't even see it in many cases. There's so many famous stories about that. Um, there's a part of the brain, and if I have my website up, I'll pull it up right here for you. Hold on. Well, that's a book where I teach people how to learn to be aware of the signals within to decode the hidden parts of your brain, the hidden parts of your mind. Because there's a part of you that wants to win, wants to succeed, but there's also a part of you that's like the opposite. You've seen the cartoons with the angels and the devil on the shoulders. They call that back in the day, Jimmy and Cricket, right? I got Coach Ryan here sitting next to me. We're going to be jamming out here at 8 o'clock. So join in at for winning their situation. I'll drop the link in a little bit. But tonight we're going over the topic of concentration. And it's more than just what you think. I promise you there's much more to the definition. There's much way to utilize this natural law. We'll dive into that in just a few minutes. So here we are, harmonious healings. And I was looking up, boy, what was I looking at? I just lost that train of thought. Nonetheless, concepts and precepts give us our perceptions. That's where I was going. That's where I was. Consequences. And talking about, type it in the chat right there. I left you hanging. A big cliffhanger. I apologize. It happens. So let's go back to the main idea here. Hope I didn't break it up. There it is. And so there's a power within yourself here. Healing is based on this simple truth. The body is self-healing and self-regulating. Okay, so think about that. Now, do you agree or disagree here? All right, just think about this for a second. What happens if you cut a dead body, maybe a deer corpse on the side of the road, and then you cut your hand by accident? Now, keep it clean. Go wash it up. Get whatever you need to do. Get that nasty bacteria and whatever else is in there. However, you do your work there, you do your job there, your body will heal itself. But that corpse that got cut, that won't heal. I mean, think about a steak. Think about chicken. You cut that at the mealtime, it's not going to grow back and start running around again. So what's the difference between that dead material, that dead physical tissue? It has nourishment in it. However, is it have life force? That's the difference. Excuse me while I get to the right spot. Here we are. Now think about self-regulating. Think about, can you agree or disagree with this concept, self-regulating? The heart delivered to kidneys, essentially every organ in your body, the spleen, the pancreas, the lymph node system, the immune system, the nervous system. This is functioning automatically all the time without your conscious control. So the point being is, could you agree or disagree that your body has this automatic nature to it? There's something that's going on without you having to think about it. That's why we can, you've heard the statement, if my head wasn't attached, it wouldn't be on right now, kind of idea. So let's continue. I got a lot of things running on the computer. It's slowing up right now. However, let's point number 2 here. Okay, this is the next critical step. Purpose of the brain and the nervous system is to control and coordinate the function of all the cells, tissues, and organs in the body, and to adapt the organism to its environment. That means what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you feel, what you sense. Even that interesting sixth sense, mother's intuition, synchronicities. You thought about someone and they text or call you at that moment. These type of interactions are going on and being detected by your central nervous system and your brain. And there's a very important connection between how your body senses and receives signals and the quality of your life and what you attract and what you get stopped with, what sabotages you, despite some of your best efforts. The key is in your nervous system. And that, if I could say one step further, the key then is the mind. Not the physical brain. Oh, that's important, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's the mind, and that's a bigger topic. And right now, I think mindfulness is a very important topic to be talking about, and people are very much interested in it. And so, the mind. Okay, let's continue. So the question then is there anything the nervous system does not regulate? Well, the answer is no. We literally live our lives through our nervous system. Just test it. You've heard the 5 senses. However, I believe the number is broken down. There's 57 or 58 different senses that we can delineate. Some examples, the easy ones, are like pain and hunger and vibration. Although you're sensing them, they're different things. Some people can sense direction. And on another level scale, and I don't know if these are included, but every level that you have a physical sense, there's also a non-physical sense that some people have labeled psychic. However, there's different types of these abilities that people have. It's quite interesting topic. And this is in research journals and literature. So there's an idea though. So then it's like, well, okay, the body's self-healing. The body can get well on its own. Well, then how can we have problems? Well, that's an easy answer, actually. There's interference, right? There's a term for that. It's called subluxation. It's kind of a mouthful, so there's a lot of jokes about that in my profession. But the whole idea is think of interference. And that interference, by the way, can be a pattern that you haven't woken up to yet. It could be like just a habit. You heard that, good or bad. Those are patterns wired into your existence, and that's actually how we gamify the mind to actually accomplish things and do things to improve our quality of life. Like affirmations, I'm sure you've heard of the term affirmation, and it is a key component to getting a better quality of life. How do we use it, and is there a better way to incorporate it? Is it the right thing for you, and how do you form it so it's like laser focused, specific for your needs? Well, that's some material I can help people with. So let's continue here. So if your body cannot function at its full capacity, it's no longer self healing and self regulating at 100%, and that's the nature of interference. That's the nature of what subluxation brings. Now, sometimes that's necessary. I don't want to put an extra concept in there, but sometimes it's necessary because it prevents a certain level of breakdown, like a short circuit in a circuit breaker in someone's house. It'll prevent the fire from, it'll prevent the electrical spike from putting fire to the house. However, it will shut down the power to the house to protect the house. And yet, if that, say, for example, goes to a refrigerator, then the food's going to go bad. Everything in the freezer melts, and you lose all that. So there's this whole analogy. We need to kind of get a mind around how our nervous system functions. And you probably felt it. Type in yes. I've felt that. If for example you've had like something suddenly hit you, whether it's a mental stress, a physical stress, something you ate, and all of a sudden like your body just shuts down, your mind just shuts down, or it's like you can't feel like you can't function anymore. If that's happened to you, it happens to me, and I've learned some of the causes of that. But by all means, type in that yes answer. So let's go in there a little bit more, and hitting yes gets or typing yes or typing value, whatever that is, giving a thumbs up. That helps spread the word to gamify the algorithm to spread, to connect people who like this material. All right, so the longer it's there, the worse it gets. You get that concept. So that's my job, is to help correct that, identify the causes, and teach people to improve their quality of life. And the whole idea there is, well, we want to live longer, have optimal health and well-being. So the problem, the cause of subluxation is, well, it's a simple answer, but it's a big topic. You probably know the answer, and that is stress. If you got stress, my goodness. Well, there's something you can do for it. That's the beautiful part. There's always an answer. So that being said, let's shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about see if I can find the right button to press. I have too many things going on. There it is, Decode Your Pain. And in the book, we're talking about chapter 8, and let's go to the chapter headings, and then it ties perfectly into tonight. Wow, I got a little stuck there on that screen. So let that load for a minute. But what we're going to be talking about here, and I think I made a slight typo in the title. So let me pull it up here. We have change your story, change your life. Okay, change your story, change your life. I'll hold it up for everybody at home. See if I can get there. Goodness. Chapter 8, change your story, change your life. Okay. And with that being said, one of the key components to changing your story and change your life, and it ties right in with what I was just speaking about, affirmations, which is concentration. See, the momentum I have experienced when I hit like a 3-month point of doing the same statement every day, and then I get like a 6-month point, something starts happening. It's best experienced. I can try to describe it for you, and it's kind of like describing the beach. I could tell you the sun, and the warmth, and the smells, the flavors. Think about your favorite beach. Really think about it for a minute, and you can remember and sense the food, your most favorite treat when you go to the shore, to the beach, wherever you're at. You can almost feel the salt if you rub your fingers together. You can feel your skin. All right, if you can do that, hit that thumbs up. The point being is, when we go to the beach, it's a different experience no matter how much we talk about it. And the point being, when we do the affirmation statements, it builds and builds and builds and builds momentum internally. And then you've heard of the law of attraction. You've heard about how things come to people as synchronicities. So as we put this in the vibration of who you are and where you're driving, what you're trying to accomplish, it brings things to you. And all of a sudden, when there's a time when you are challenged or tested and the negativity starts to build in, all of a sudden the affirmation comes flying through and saves the day internally. It's that internal decision that flips the script. It's amazing. It's amazing. So we're up and running in the, let's see here, get that right screen up. Oh, that's next week's topic, by the way. Life is perfect. Now that sounds like a crazy statement to talk about right now, but let's get to chapter 8 here. It's not a crazy statement. It's actually exactly what is going on. And so tonight in chapter 8, and every week I highlight a piece of the book, a concept in the book, and I, in some ways, I'm going to toot my own horn here. However, I've had many conversations with people who have purchased the book, doctor friends of mine who have read through it and basically helped me figure it out in many ways. This is jam packed, and I jokingly tell people this can feed you for a life for less than the cost of a pizza. And what I'm talking about is feeding your soul, which teaches you to honor the wisdom that's inherent within. That teaches you how to decipher that language, which through experiences with my patients and the stories of connections, relating concepts, right back to this where we started tonight, relating concepts that help you see the world with new eyes. And with that, there's a key there that you start to see in your own life because you have to turn that key. Someone can give you, I can literally give you keys. You know, this is metaphorical. However, you have to learn how to use that key to unlock that amazing potential within that's contained within you because you were born. It's inherent. So the cause of subluxation is stress. So essentially, 3 types of stress. I went a little fast. Sorry about that. Physical stress, biochemical stress, and mental emotional stress. I keep flashing this. This is my business website, drkeving.com. You'll see it scrolling at the bottom there. However, who are we being? The stories that we hold, what we believe is what we become. And so this highlights one of my, this part of the book highlights one of my favorite experiences when I was attending my my doctorate program. And my goodness, here it is. The professor who taught the class on geriatrics and had a member, her mom was a member of the Centenarian Club, which just means they've gotten older than 100 years. They're older than 100 years, which is amazing in its right to be alive that long. However, the spark of life, they weren't sitting medicated in front of a TV all day. They had life. They had conversation, they had stories. They had the zest in their eyes. And they literally were able, you know, I was going to say pep in their step, but they really did have something to it. And, you know, some of them had habits and things that they had to overcome, of course, in life. And they were there for 2 days of sessions. So it was beautiful to have the ongoing, like, it ended up being like a 5-hour conversation in all of a panel of 6 people over 100 years old. And one of the daughters was the teacher, the instructor. And really the major thing in common, which is what I've hung my hat on since that point, essentially, is their outlook on life, how they view the world, how they see things, and all this other wisdom that they shared that week class. And again, just highlight it again. Now looking back, it's all about our mind and what that entails. And so here I have Coach Ryan. He's sitting right next to me here. And we're gonna be let's just I'm gonna bring you in and let's chat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, come on over, scoot in. Let's see if I can widen the screen here a little bit. And so Coach Ryan and I have been, let's see here. I'm gonna do a little editing on the fly. Maybe I can, maybe I can't do that. Let's back up. I'm gonna back up a little bit. And then I'm gonna do one of these. Boom, right there. All right. So we're in action. And so, Coach Ryan, how long have we been doing our Winning in Every Situation webinar?
Well, we've been doing this webinar. I mean, we've been doing our weekly meetings for well over a year now, upwards of 2, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Because we had
Yeah,
a lot of coffee talk.
Yeah,
time.
We set the intention. Set the intention 2019, and as we rolled into early 2020, it got rolling.
Yeah, it sure did.
That's when we launched it.
And the whole point here is this is the next step to what goes on after the ideas of what I wrote about in my book. And it's about this awareness awakening healing system. And so the whole idea is there's an awareness of your subconscious and unconscious mind. And I believe I have a slide here. I'll pull it up and take a look. But no, it's in. Nonetheless, the whole idea is in my email I sent out today. The whole idea is that if you picture an iceberg, all right, there's like 10% above the edge of the water, and the major part is subconscious or unconscious, so it's under the water. And this is just like how our mind operates. You may have heard the analogy that we only use 10% of our brain. Well, that's conscious. The rest is operating things under the radar.
Yeah, a visual I like to use for that same concept is like as though our subconscious mind is the submarine, whereas our conscious mind is just a little peephole that we can direct our focus onto just a small little narrow sphere of things.
Right.
But the subconscious mind operates all things at all times completely unconsciously. We don't think about breathing. We don't think about digesting. We don't think about the vast majority of the things that we spend all day doing.
Right. Amazing. And so if you've heard of law of attraction, if you've been into manifesting, trying to create your reality, if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, and you're driving towards things, these are principles that we talk about. And Coach Ryan, you've been studying this material since 2010, 2011.
Well, I guess earlier. I mean, it goes all the way back to at the end of my college years.
Okay.
I first picked up Think and Grow Rich back then, and it resonated with me. Napoleon Hill kind of spoke to me in a way that I was like, okay, this is authentic knowledge. And I put it into practice and utilized it. But then after I had my brain injury, I refound that knowledge and dialed in super deep. And, that takes us right to about 2007, 2008. And ever since that, it's been kind of an everyday affair. This research,
well, your practical application of what you've been reading to read, essentially
it's become a path.
It's become a path. And let me recap a little bit for everybody who's meeting you for the first time, Coach Ryan, and is you put this material into action in your life, and you had to live it, you had to repeat and apply and redirect, and then of course things happen, but you still have the principles in mind, and ultimately you had to shift stories, and things of course occur just like everyone in life, but there's something that continues to move you forward, of course, and a lot of these principles play out in your life.
Yeah, I had a situation, a circumstance play out in my life that brought me face to face with some decisions that ultimately were going to affect the rest of my life. And while I was in the early stages of recovery from my injury, I started to become aware of some healing practices, some therapy methods, some diagnoses that were made on me that didn't sit well with me. They didn't feel right. And I chose to take my healing into my own hands. And when I made that decision that I was going to have to take care of myself, my own self, I revert it back to what I believe to be the most accurate information about how to handle your mind. Now, I was fortunate in some respects as my injury was directly pertaining to my mind. So this is something that seemed like the most logical path to take. But yeah, the coursework of going through that process of recovery, I know it's helped me leaps and bounds, and I feel no matter what you're going through, whether it's physical, emotional, relationship, economical, all kind of challenges and struggles and stresses that we come across in life, one of the reasons that me and you've resonated on this course material is that we've relayed many times about all kind of things, and man, I refer back to this so often because I just feel it applies to pretty much all aspects of life because of the universality of natural laws, and how harmonious the creatures of this beautiful earth are. I mean, you watch nature, you see how, the mothers take care of their young in the wild, and how, the fathers protect the entire pack viciously, ruthlessly, and how they, they make very harsh decisions in weeding out weak members of their team. There are a lot of lessons in nature that I believe we should pay more homage to. We should be more. We should make efforts to align ourselves more with some of the better examples that this earth provides us with to study.
Agreed. And and for many, it may be simply a step of awareness of understanding where this material comes from. Is there bodies of knowledge out there that do this? And in the business world and in personal growth, this material. However, it's an ancient tradition in traditional Chinese medicine, in Ayurveda, and many of the Native American and South American cultures. There's lessons of life and how to operate that are recorded throughout history. And we live in a different level of society these days. And so that means we need to incorporate and also reinvent while honoring the time-tested and basically the laws of reality. How we're still waking up to new uses with these energies, but just like radio, just like television, just like cell phones, the internet, what's next? It's going to be transformative, whatever it's going to be. And I think we're seeing something. I don't know, but we're all in for a ride right now. But paddle hard for what you want, and that's everything we're going to be talking about tonight. Is about concentration and what it requires to continue. We talk about failure. We talk about. Coach, I have it right over here. Actually, I could pull it up. I'm not going to because we're in a good flow right here. But some of the chapter headings can lead people onto this path. But concentration is such a key piece here.
Yeah. Well, concentration. Ultimately, you don't get a task done unless you're focused on it. You don't just accidentally pay your bills, right? You got to sit down and concentrate for a few minutes.
Right.
You don't accidentally do things that really need to get done in your life. And this is where, concentration is keeping your mind focused on the task at hand until the completion of that task. Now, there's a lot that goes into it, and we'll dive deep into it over this next hour here. But, ultimately, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's staying focused on what needs to be done and getting it done. And ultimately, no matter what you're doing, who you are, or what needs to be done in your life, that's a condition that has to be met day after day after day. There's things that need to get done.
Yeah.
And too often we lose the wind. We lose our sail,
But if I could pause you for a second, you're talking about your vision, your goal, your desire. You can talk about making a meal. You can talk about a target for a vacation. However, I'm talking about a big game right now. I'm talking about a vision that takes 10, 20, maybe 30 years to unfold. But the juice in that, the satisfaction that over time, because our brains are powerful. We can do amazing things as human beings.
Well, there's several elements that we need to pay more attention to as a people. First, more people need to take the time and effort to map out their lives ahead several years, perhaps a decade or more, and get a big vision, get a big picture, idea of where they're trying to finally take their ship, and set that intention and go after it. And I think that's a big thing, and but at the same time, as grand as that is, you can't just have that, because it all dials back to the little things. It all dials back to, you go to bed one night and you're like, man, I haven't eaten good the last few days. I got to get up early tomorrow and jump rope, maybe run a mile. Well, if you wake up tomorrow and your favorite show's on TV, or, your aunt calls you and you spend 45 minutes talking to her and you never get out there and you never run even a half mile and you never even pick up your jump rope, you failed in your concentration of achieving your efforts. Why? Because you had set this intention, you set this grand vision of, okay, I need to get into better shape. Now, in order to do that, you're already fast forwarding several months. I mean, you don't just get in shape in a day or a week. When we set an intention to change our bodies, we need to change things in our lives until that intention has been fulfilled. It doesn't just happen,
Right. Well, and that brings it back to that building momentum over time, and that's where these little games I play by setting little targets of, at the basic core, it's one day at a time, one moment at a time. And sometimes I have to read the affirmation like 1,000 times that day because I'm having a hard day. And I just take that time because I know how important my vision is, my this thing I've created in my mind and I've been building for a long time.
One thing. Jordan Peterson's excellent mentor of mine. I listen to a lot of his talks. He's behavioral science, behavioral psychology. His insights are amazing in my opinion. He talks about the necessity to have big picture goals, to have these big dreams, but if you're not breaking them down small by small, you're going to fail to form that bridge for yourself. Because ultimately, when you have this great desire in the future, you need to be a different person than you are today in order to receive all the achievement within that desire. You're going to have to change. So between now and the attainment, day by day, week by week, month by month, you're going to have to make incremental changes. You're going to have to be slightly different tonight when you go to bed than when you woke up this morning. You're going to have to be slightly different at the end of the week as you were at the beginning of the week, and at the end of the month as you were at the beginning of the month, end of the year as the beginning of the year, and at the end of this decade, you'll be a different man. If you're, like you're saying, constantly making these incremental improvements, if you're keeping your concentration and maintaining your momentum, maintaining this, you've set this intention, you're carrying yourself on this path, you're making efforts towards your goals. Don't get distracted by the 50% deal on the ticket to the casino, where all of a sudden, just because that jackpot was on center stage that night, you didn't win. You actually lost 500, and now you are 3 months behind in your savings plan for where you want it to be, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing out random things, but that's how it happens. We get caught up in a little distraction, and then chunks of effort are washed away.
Well, we just got a huge download.
Concentration.
Coach, I had to cut you off right there. That was a huge download for everybody. So I want to say thank you for tuning in. We are going live in 10 minutes in the webinar. I did drop the link a few moments ago. I'll drop it again right now. Excuse me one second while I lean in and copy this to paste. And so you have a few minutes to sign in, and you'll get the link immediately. Join in, and we're going to be diving deeper into this topic, as well as the 2 other keys to winning in every situation, which are energetic remapping and achievement alignment. So if you're on the 4 Foundations page, hang on. We'll be we're going to continue the stream there in just a minute. We're going to run a few things in between here and there. you see some of the things I got going on, as well as just giving us time to catch up and get connected to the next phase. And join us over there. We're going to end the stream here in just a second. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Dr. Kevin Jarena, and we have Coach Ryan right here.
How you doing?
See you in a few minutes on the other side. Thank you, everybody.